Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show engineered to cut through the noise and deliver the crucial insights you need to be truly well-informed.
That's the goal.
Now, let's be honest with ourselves for a moment. Have you ever found yourself caught in that relentless cycle, you know, aspiring for massive personal or professional improvement, setting these really ambitious goals,
Oh, yeah.
only to watch them slowly, inevitably, just fizzle out after a few weeks?
Happens all the time.
You're scrolling through endless articles, maybe even devouring detailed research, feeling like you're absorbing so much information, and yet the needle barely moves on your own growth. It can feel utterly overwhelming.
It really can. Like you're constantly fighting an uphill battle.
Exactly. Wishing there was some kind of secret blueprint, maybe even a shortcut, to lasting transformation. You're definitely not alone in feeling that way.
No, it's a remarkably common experience, actually. And it points to a fundamental misunderstanding of how human behavior actually works. This deep dive is designed to fundamentally shift that perspective for you. We're moving entirely away from the exhausting idea of willpower as some, finite resource you constantly have to battle with. Instead, we're reframing personal growth as a challenge of elegant system design.
Precisely. And as someone who builds intricate software systems every single day, imagine if you could apply that same logical architectural mindset to your entire life.
Right, thinking of your life as a system.
A complex, evolving system, a system you absolutely can consciously engineer, you can debug it, optimize it for performance, and scale it for future growth.
Uh-huh.
Today, our focus isn't just on doing more, it's on understanding and building robust behavioral systems through the incredible, almost counterintuitive power of tiny, consistent habits.
And to guide us on this journey, we have a truly essential blueprint in our hands. The Architect's Guide to Behavioral Systems. Building a resilient and thriving life through tiny habits.
It sounds less like a typical self-help book and more like, well, like a technical manual for self-improvement.
That's a good way to put it. It's more a comprehensive architectural specification for self-transformation. It offers a structured, practical, and highly scalable approach to personal development. It really speaks to the kind of problem-solving approach you're already familiar with.
Okay, so our mission today is crystal clear then. We're going to unpack the fundamental principles of habit formation,
Get right down to the core mechanics.
demonstrating how these aren't just abstract theories, but immediately applicable to real-world challenges across your life, from bolstering your personal well-being, accelerating your professional growth,
All the way to parenting, even.
right, architecting the development and resilience of your children. Most importantly, we're going to provide you with actionable, ridiculously small habits that you can start implementing immediately to begin building a more resilient and thriving life.
We're here to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge from this comprehensive source material, helping you become well-informed quickly, practically, and with a depth that makes these concepts truly stick.
So let's jump right in and start architecting.
The core system foundations of habit formation.
So where do we even begin to unpack something as complex as human behavior and transform it into a predictable system? The guide first asks us to step back
Take a high-level view.
and look at our lives not as a series of chaotic events, but as an intricate system, a system you, our architect listener, already intuitively understand how to design and optimize.
That's the critical paradigm shift right there. The core insight here is that your habits, both the ones that serve your goals and, crucially, the ones that seem to work against you, they aren't random, isolated acts.
They're part of the system.
Exactly. They are, in fact, highly optimized automatic responses that your brain has learned through sheer repetition. Your brain, quite like a well-designed processor, is incredibly efficient. One of its primary directives is to conserve energy.
Makes sense.
So when it automates a behavior, it's essentially compiling a complex sequence of actions into a single low-cost execution thread. That way, you don't have to consciously allocate precious cognitive resources to it every single time.
Okay, so that realization changes everything, doesn't it?
It fundamentally changes the game. Instead of feeling like you're constantly battling your own internal resistance, trying to force difficult actions through sheer, exhausting willpower.
Which never seems to last.
Right. You're now challenged to design an environment, a robust system where desired behaviors are the default, almost happening on their own. It's a subtle but profoundly powerful shift, moving from brute force to elegant design.
What's truly fascinating here, and maybe a relief for some, is that this idea of habits and their power isn't, some modern self-help fad. It's not entirely new.
Not at all. The source material traces its historical roots all the way back to ancient wisdom.
Like who?
Well, we're talking about figures like Aristotle, who centuries ago believed that excellence wasn't the result of a single grand heroic act,
Oh,
but rather a consistent, deliberate product of repeated action. This highlights the timeless, almost universal nature of consistent, deliberate effort across millennia.
and it didn't stop there, did it?
No, that wisdom carried forward, gaining more scientific traction. Over a century ago, William James, often called the father of American psychology, he elaborated extensively on this.
What did he add?
He spoke about the critical importance of daily practice and cultivating a determined mindset to successfully embed new habits. His work was pivotal, moving the conversation towards understanding the psychological mechanisms at play, emphasizing the physiological basis of habit through neural pathways. He was essentially talking about neural wiring before we had the modern language for it.
And now modern science has taken these foundational ideas and really run with them.
Dramatically evolved them, yeah.
Yeah.
We're now moving far beyond what you might call the simple grit your teeth and just do it approach.
Which, let's be honest, rarely works long term.
Exactly. Contemporary research, which this guide draws heavily upon, offers a much smarter, incredibly systematic way of building lasting habits that genuinely stick. It's not just relying on fleeting motivation or pure willpower, which, as we know, can be a really unreliable resource.
Okay, so what does modern science tell us? Is there a framework?
Indeed. Modern science, particularly over the last few decades, has given us an integrated three-pillar framework to truly understand how habits are formed, maintained, and even broken.
3 pillars.
And as a software architect, you might see these principles as incredibly elegant design patterns for human behavior. They're like the core architecture of your personal operating system.
I like that analogy.
Just as you design robust software systems that respond predictably to inputs, we're talking about consciously designing your internal behavioral system for maximum reliability and efficiency.
That truly reframes the challenge. It's like discovering the underlying algorithms for human action. So let's dive into these 3 pillars. The first one delves into what the source calls the neurological loop, the system's feedback mechanism, drawing heavily from Charles Duhigg's work.
Right, Duhigg's loop. At its very core, every habit functions much like a simple API call in a software system. There's a cue, think of it as an event trigger or an API request, which signals your brain's basal ganglia module that triggers the function execution.
An action itself.
And then crucially, there's the reward, the successful response, the 200 OK status code, if you will. That reinforces the connection, telling the system, this was a good call, cache this for next time.
So the basal ganglia is like the processor handling these automated tasks.
Precisely. It's a primal part deep within your brain, often called the brain's autopilot or habit center. It takes over these routine actions because it's constantly looking for ways to streamline tasks, saving your conscious, energy-intensive prefrontal cortex for higher-level thinking and novel problem-solving.
Okay, let's define each of those elements clearly for our listener, almost like documenting parameters in an API. The cue is the trigger, the initial input.
Right, the signal. Okay, time to initiate this specific routine.
And it can be anything.
Incredibly diverse. It might be something sensory, like the smell of coffee brewing, a feeling in your body like slight discomfort, an emotional state like stress or boredom, or even just a specific time of day or a particular location. It's the spark.
Got it. Then the routine. That's straightforward.
Yeah, the routine is the actual physical or mental action you perform in response. It's the method or function that gets executed, getting up to stretch, checking your phone, mentally replaying an event. It's the behavior itself.
And then the reward. This seems critical.
Absolutely critical. This is the positive feeling, the tangible outcome, or the sense of satisfaction you get after the routine is completed. The reward is what signals to your brain, hey, that felt good, that was useful, that achieved its goal, let's remember this action and do it again.
It closes the loop.
It's the positive reinforcement that closes the feedback loop, making it more likely to fire again.
Okay, so cue, routine, reward. But you said it gets more powerful.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets incredibly powerful, almost insidious sometimes. Over time, as this loop repeats, something truly profound happens. It transforms into a craving.
A craving.
Yeah. Your brain isn't just remembering the reward, it's actively anticipating it. It starts releasing dopamine before the action even starts, just from seeing the cue.
Wow.
That anticipation, that craving, is the real neurochemical fuel that locks a habit in, making it feel automatic and sometimes incredibly hard to resist, even if it's a habit we rationally know isn't serving us. That feeling of anticipation becomes the primary driver.
That's a powerful insight into the subconscious drivers of our actions. The guide uses the classic example of brushing your teeth. How did that fit the loop?
Perfectly. The cue could be that slightly fuzzy feeling on your teeth, or maybe just looking in the mirror after breakfast.
Okay.
The routine is the physical act of brushing for a couple of minutes. Simple enough.
And the reward.
The reward. It's that wonderful, clean, fresh feeling in your mouth afterwards, maybe the minty taste, and perhaps the mental reassurance that you're taking care of your dental health. That clear, immediate, and tangible outcome is what continually reinforces the behavior, locking it in as a daily, almost unconscious ritual.
So this three-step loop then, it's like the fundamental blueprint, the architectural pattern for creating any new behavior we want to integrate.
Exactly, that's the foundation. Now, moving beyond the internal neurological process, the second pillar gives us a clearer understanding of when a behavior is actually likely to occur in the real world.
Okay, when does it actually happen?
This is Dr. B.J. Fogg's behavioral model, famously summarized as BMAP.
B equals MAP. What does that stand for?
It states that a behavior B happens only when there is sufficient motivation, M, sufficient ability, A, and a timely prompt, P, all present simultaneously.
All three have to be there.
All three. Think of it as a conditional statement in your code. If motivation and ability and prompt, then execute behavior. All conditions must be met for the behavior to fire.
What's fascinating here, and I think is a truly crucial insight many of us overlook, is how much we rely on motivation.
Oh, massively. It's a trap.
We tell ourselves, I just need to want it more, or I'll start when I feel motivated to hit the gym. But the guy highlights why motivation is notoriously unreliable.
It's like trying to run a critical application on a server with an inconsistent power supply. Think about it. Your motivation fluctuates constantly. It depends on factors entirely outside the habit itself. How well you've rested, your stress levels, even just how much sleep you got last night, or what news you woke up to.
So relying only on motivation is.
It's a common recipe for spectacular failure, quite frankly, especially when trying to build a new, challenging habit. It's a systemic bug in our usual approach.
Okay, so if motivation is unreliable, what's the fix?
Exactly. This leads directly to the innovative solution embodied in the Tiny Habits method, which is Dr. Fogg's real genius. His approach deliberately makes the new behavior ridiculously small.
Ridiculously small. Like how small?
So small it ensures it's incredibly easy to do, even when your motivation is at its absolute lowest ebb. The idea is to bypass the motivation problem entirely by making the ability component so high, so easy.
And motivation barely matters.
Precisely. It becomes almost irrelevant. You're effectively designing for the lowest possible common denominator in your system's operational capacity. Minimum viable action.
So the emphasis is profoundly on ease over effort. Make it easy.
When an action is made easy enough, so low friction, almost frictionless, the primary requirements for it to happen are simply a clear, consistent prompt and the basic ability to perform it. It becomes less about should I and more about can I, and the answer is always yes.
This focus on simplicity, reducing the cognitive load to near zero. That's the secret.
It's truly the secret to building habits that actually last and scale.
Can you give an example of ridiculously small?
Absolutely. Take the example of flossing. For many, that mental image of flossing all your teeth feels like a monumental task, especially when you're tired. Your brain sees that friction and screams, abort.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
The Tiny Habit solution suggests starting with just one tooth.
One tooth, seriously.
Seriously. It's so minuscule, so utterly low effort, that you can do it even on your most exhausted day. The magic isn't in that one floss tooth itself. It's in consistently proving to your brain day after day that this action is easy, that it's not a threat, and that you can succeed.
So you're rewiring the resistance.
Exactly. This rewires your internal resistance, making the path to flossing all your teeth much smoother over time, precisely because you focused on consistency, not intensity, from the start. It's the ultimate low-friction entry point.
Consistency over intensity. That keeps coming up.
It's the master key to embedding new behaviors.
Okay, so we have Duhigg's loop, cue, routine, reward, and Fogg's BME, motivation, ability, prompt. What's the third pillar?
The third pillar builds on these. It brings us to James Clear's 4 laws of change, which the guide presents as the system's design principles.
Design principles. I like that.
These aren't just abstract ideas. They're a practical, step-by-step guide for designing a new behavioral system from inception all the way through to long-term sustainability. Think of them as the best practices for coding in a new habit.
Like solid principles for habits.
That's a perfect analogy. CLEAR's framework provides truly actionable steps for manipulating your environment and your internal approach to make habit formation almost inevitable. The 4 laws are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Okay, let's break those down. First, make it obvious. How does
Mhm.
that relate?
This directly connects to the cue or prompt we just discussed. This law focuses on creating a clear, undeniable trigger in your environment, making the event unmistakable.
How do you do that?
A powerful technique here is habit stacking. This involves attaching a new, desired habit to an existing, deeply established daily routine that you already do without thinking.
An anchor habit.
Exactly. For instance, the guide suggests, after I pour my morning coffee, that's your existing unbreakable anchor habit, I will meditate for 1 minute. That's your new tiny habit.
So you link them together.
Right. This makes the new habit an almost automatic next step, a logical continuation, leveraging the momentum and reliable trigger of what you already do. You're reducing decision fatigue by prepackaging the next step.
Makes sense. Law number 2. Make it attractive.
This focuses on strengthening the desire or craving for the habit, essentially creating a positive association with it.
How?
The method here is to associate a positive feeling or an immediate benefit with the new behavior, linking something you want to do with something you need to do.
Like temptation bundling.
Exactly. Temptation bundling is a great example. After my workout, I get to watch my favorite show. Or after I finish this focused work block, I'll allow myself 5 minutes on social media. By connecting the effort to an immediate, enjoyable reward, you prime your brain to look forward to the activity itself, not just the outcome.
You're sweetening the deal for your brain.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Significantly increasing the likelihood of doing the habit.
Okay, law 3. Make it easy. We touched on this with fog.
Yes, this is really the cornerstone of the Tiny Habits method, and it's paramount. The goal here is to make the behavior so simple, so effortless, that it's practically impossible to skip.
Breaking it down.
Breaking down complex tasks into the smallest, most manageable atomic steps imaginable. We're talking ridiculously small, so low friction that your internal resistance mechanism doesn't even have a chance to engage.
Flossing one tooth again.
That example hammers it home. By making it this easy, you ensure consistency, which, as we've established, is paramount for true habit formation, especially for those days when your motivation is running on fumes. You're designing for maximum uptime regardless of internal conditions.
Got it. And the final law, make it satisfying.
This focuses on ensuring there's an immediate positive feeling right after you complete the habit. This closes Duhigg's loop effectively.
Immediate feedback.
Yes. The technique here is a simple instant celebration. This can be internal, like a mental yes, silently acknowledging your accomplishment, or even external, like a small fist pump, a quiet nod of approval, or a quick smile. The purpose is crucial. This immediate positive emotional response communicates directly to your brain, saying, "This felt good, this was a win, let's do it again."
Locking it in.
Exactly. This positive feedback loop effectively locks in the new behavior, cementing it as something worth repeating, building that dopamine anticipation for the next cycle. You're explicitly closing the feedback loop with a success signal.
What's profoundly clear is that these 4 laws aren't just vague suggestions. They provide a concrete, actionable framework. It feels like an agile methodology for personal change.
That's a great way to think about it.
It moves you from merely wishing for change to actively building a robust, self-sustaining system that makes change inevitable. Ultimately, this isn't just about doing more things. It's about systematically shaping the very architecture of the person you aspire to become.
One intentional, tiny habit at a time. Absolutely. And this brings us to the overarching philosophy that underpins all of this: starting small. It's utterly critical for engineering sustainability and resilience into any behavioral system.
So the big takeaway.
The most important takeaway from all this habit research, a principle that can truly transform your approach, is that consistency dramatically outweighs intense, sporadic bursts of effort.
Like incremental commits versus a massive rewrite.
Perfect analogy. The former is far more likely to succeed in the long run.
That's such a crucial distinction and, honestly, a relief. We're often wired to think go big or go home, that we need massive efforts for real change.
Right, the all-or-nothing approach.
But the guide points out that these grand gestures often backfire. They become a motivation killer. You get fired up, go all in, push to the limit, and then what?
Then the inevitable burnout hits. Your system crashes, you're back at square one, feeling defeated.
Why do those big efforts fail so often?
They fail because they demand an unsustainable amount of willpower and cognitive effort. When you commit to a massive change, your brain registers it as high friction, high cost. The moment your motivation dips, which it inevitably will due to stress, fatigue, just life, that high friction activity is the first thing to be jettisoned.
Too expensive to maintain.
Exactly. Instead, the most effective path to lasting change, one that scales and endures, is a low-friction, high-consistency approach. Think of it as designing for minimal resource consumption.
Smooth progression.
It's a smooth, almost effortless progression where each small step builds naturally on the last without requiring massive willpower each time. You're optimizing for continuous integration rather than massive, risky deployments.
And starting small isn't just a trick to get going, is it?
Not at all. It's the entire bedrock, the foundational layer of building a behavioral system that can actually withstand life's inevitable challenges, unexpected crises, and daily setbacks.
So it builds resilience.
If your habits are easy enough, truly low cost, they won't crumble when you're stressed, tired, or overwhelmed. They become default processes that continue running in the background. It creates an incredible degree of resilience.
By making failure almost impossible.
Right. By making habits ridiculously small, you effectively make failure nearly impossible. When you can consistently perform an action, no matter how tiny, you're not just doing that action. You're building strong, robust neural connections in your brain.
Strengthening the pathways.
You're ingraining the habit as an automatic default response, strengthening those pathways with every single tiny win. This makes it far more likely to stick over the long term, forming the true scalable foundation for sustained personal growth. It's about cumulative, consistent success, not heroic, unsustainable bursts.
The personal platform habits for well-being and character.
Okay, now that we've laid the groundwork with the core principles, those system design blueprints, let's turn our attention to what the guide calls your personal platform.
Right, applying this to ourselves.
This is about how these tiny habits can revolutionize your well-being and character, making you a more resilient, effective individual. And the guide powerfully challenges the common notion that well-being is some kind of luxury.
Nothing you get to after the real work is done.
Exactly. Instead, it asserts that well-being is a critical system component for sustained success, optimal productivity, and genuine innovation, especially for busy leaders and architects like you.
That's a crucial reframe, really. For professionals, particularly those in demanding roles, it's not just about getting by. Chronic stress and a persistent lack of sleep aren't just personal inconveniences. They have real, measurable consequences.
Like what?
We're talking burnout, significantly diminished cognitive performance, impaired decision-making, serious long-term health issues that degrade your overall system. The mindset shift is key. Your well-being isn't secondary or nice to have.
It's foundational.
It's a foundational, non-negotiable dependency for sustained high performance. Neglecting it is like running critical infrastructure without proper maintenance. Eventually, it breaks down.
And these seemingly minor micro-routines, these tiny habits, they act like daily system updates, right? Almost like small code commits.
Exactly. They might feel insignificant on their own, but they accumulate. Over time, these small, consistent positive inputs create powerful, positive compounding effects, building a more robust and high-performing human application. It's the consistent integration that truly makes the difference.
Okay, let's get practical. Actionable habits for bolstering our core well-being system. First up, sleep. The guide emphasizes 7 to 8 hours. Why is it so foundational?
It's not just about feeling rested. It's the pillar of good health, mental clarity, peak cognitive function. So how do we optimize this critical system dependency with a tiny habit?
What's the habit?
A simple, highly actionable one is, when I set my alarm for tomorrow, I will put my phone on its charger and turn off all screens.
Okay, why that specific action?
It serves a dual purpose. It significantly reduces blue light exposure, which messes with melatonin and sleep cycles. And it establishes a consistent nightly wind-down ritual, signaling to your brain and body that it's time to prepare for rest. It builds a clear, end-of-day protocol.
System shutdown initiated. Okay. Next, hydration. Seems almost too simple.
Simple, yet absolutely vital for maintaining focus, energy levels, and overall cognitive function. Dehydration tanks performance.
So the tiny habit here, making it easy.
Exactly, making it profoundly obvious and low friction. One habit is simply keeping a reusable water bottle filled on your desk at all times. Constant visual prompt.
Or habit stacking.
Another excellent method. After I check my first email in the morning, I will drink a full glass of water. Both examples make hydration nearly effortless and integrate it seamlessly into existing routines. Ensures consistent intake without requiring willpower. It becomes an automated, essential system process.
And then there's mindfulness, tackling unmanaged stress, the silent system killer. We're not talking hour-long meditation sessions, are we?
No, absolutely not. That would be a high-friction, low-adherence strategy for most busy people. The habit here is designed for strategic, incredibly brief pauses.
Like what?
Like this. When I'm taking a break between meetings, I will do 3 slow, deep breaths.
Just 3 breaths.
Just 3. This micro-routine offers a quick, practical moment to clear your mental cache, reset your cognitive state, and re-energize without demanding a significant time commitment. It's a sustainable reset button you can hit repeatedly throughout a busy day, prevents stress accumulation.
Moving beyond physical well-being, the guide pivots to emotional intelligence, EI. For many leaders, improving EI isn't just a soft skill, right?
It's a critical system upgrade for navigating complex team dynamics, fostering psychological safety, making sound decisions under pressure.
How does the guide approach architecting EI?
It presents EI not as some inherent trait you either have or don't.
Which is what a lot of people think.
Exactly. But as a set of learnable skills you can absolutely develop and improve through deliberate, consistent practice. Much like mastering a new programming language or debugging a complex system.
So it's a skill set, not an innate quality. Why is that important?
Because it means you can improve it. These skills, self-awareness, active listening, self-regulation, are crucial for leaders. But its utility extends far beyond work, into personal relationships too. The guide mentions dealing with a spouse who might be quick to anger, for example. EI provides tools to manage these situations more effectively. It's like a sophisticated conflict resolution algorithm.
And the core of EI, according to the guide?
It's truly understanding your own feelings and their origins before you even attempt to understand or respond to others. This self-reflection step is crucial.
Why?
It enables you to manage your reactions rather than being impulsively controlled by them. It's particularly useful for de-escalating heated situations, giving you that crucial moment of pause and choice. It's like adding an if-else statement to your emotional processing.
Okay, let's get to the habits for cultivating our EI system. For self-awareness, knowing your feelings.
The critical first step.
Uh-huh.
A powerful, tiny habit involves self-reflection through journaling, but super brief.
How brief?
The habit is, after my last meeting of the day, I'll write down one thing that made me feel frustrated and one thing that made me feel proud.
Just one of each.
Just one. This incredibly brief habit helps you consistently identify emotional triggers, recognize patterns of success, and gain invaluable insights into your internal landscape. It's like a daily diagnostic report for your emotional system. Allows you to debug and optimize.
Makes sense. What about active listening? Vital skill, hard to do sometimes.
Especially in our distracted world. It's about giving someone your full, undivided attention, a dedicated resource allocation, if you will.
And the habit.
Remarkably simple, yet profoundly impactful. When a colleague or my wife starts talking, I will put down my phone and make eye contact.
That small action makes a difference.
Huge difference. This small gesture immediately signals respect, presence, importance. It dramatically improves your focus and comprehension of what the other person is truly saying, fostering better connection and ensuring you're receiving accurate input.
Okay, and self-regulation, that pause between stimulus and response.
Building that crucial buffer, especially in charged situations. This is your internal error handling mechanism.
What's the tiny habit for that?
Highly targeted. Before I reply to a charged email, I will close my eyes and take one deep breath.
Just one breath.
That tiny delay, that single conscious breath, prevents an emotional knee-jerk reaction, which often leads to regrettable outcomes. It provides just enough space for your prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain, to re-engage, allows for a more thoughtful, constructive response. It's an interrupt handler for emotional overload.
So EI habits like pausing and reflecting, they actually help with decisiveness too.
Absolutely, they're foundational. The guide then talks about the architecture of character, building mental resilience. What's fascinating is how EI directly helps regulate the anxiety that often leads to indecisiveness.
Especially that fear of being wrong.
That pervasive, paralyzing fear. You're learning to manage the risk assessment module of your brain more effectively.
So what's the mindset of a decisive character, according to the source?
Fundamentally, it's embracing imperfection. Decisive individuals accept that perfection is an unrealistic, often paralyzing goal. Crucially, they view mistakes not as failures to be avoided at all costs.
But as learning opportunities.
Exactly. Data points for iteration and improvement. They understand that inaction is often the biggest mistake. They don't allow the fear of negative outcomes to paralyze their ability to make choices and move forward.
How do you build that? It sounds like training.
It's likened to training your brain's fear center, the amygdala. It's a form of what's essentially exposure therapy. You gradually build tolerance for the inherent risks and uncertainties involved in all decisions, big or small.
You're teaching your brain that mistakes aren't catastrophic.
Right. It's a temporary setback, a learning moment, an opportunity for course correction, not a system failure.
Okay, actionable tiny habits for this mental resilience. First, embracing uncertainty. How?
It's about learning to acknowledge and accept, rather than suppress, those uncomfortable feelings of anxiety related to not knowing the future outcome.
And the habit.
A simple yet powerful affirmation. When I feel anxious about making a decision, I will pause and say to myself, uncertainty is not a threat. It is an opportunity.
Just saying that helps.
This small, consistent internal dialogue, repeated over time, actively retrains your brain. It helps you perceive uncertainty not as an imminent danger triggering a freeze response, but as a manageable challenge, an open-ended problem to solve. You're reframing the input.
Okay, and the other one, practicing imperfection. Deliberately making small mistakes.
Low-stakes mistakes, yes. To consistently prove to your brain that errors aren't catastrophic and the world doesn't end if things aren't absolutely perfect.
What's an example habit?
This helps you accumulate empirical evidence. For example, when faced with a trivial choice, like what to order for lunch, which route to take, picking a meeting background, I will choose the first option that comes to mind and not spend more than 30 seconds second-guessing it.
The goal isn't the perfect choice.
The goal is to make a decision and move on. This repeatedly proves to your brain that making the wrong choice in minor situations doesn't lead to dire consequences. It significantly reduces choice anxiety over time and builds your decisiveness muscle.
The professional engine habits for growth and impact.
All right, let's shift gears to the professional realm. Particularly for someone like you listening, maybe a seasoned software engineer, an IT director, living in what we call the age of AI.
Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety around that.
Totally natural. Concerns about AI's impact on your role. But the guide clarifies a crucial point. AI isn't here to replace fundamental human skills. It's designed to augment them.
Complement, not replace.
Right. It automates routine, repetitive tasks, which, crucially, frees up your precious time for higher value, more strategic, and uniquely human work.
This is a truly critical distinction and a vital strategic pivot for any professional today. The common narrative often overlooks this synergy. The most successful professionals in this new era will be those who combine deep technical expertise with what the source calls durable skills.
Durable skills.
Human abilities that, at their core, machines simply cannot replicate, no matter how advanced they become. Success lies in this powerful, integrated combination. It's about building a robust hybrid system. AI handles the grunt work, you provide the irreplaceable human intelligence.
So why exactly are human skills irreplaceable, especially for an IT leader?
Well, AI excels at data processing, pattern recognition, executing defined algorithms, but it fundamentally cannot feel empathy,
Right.
originate a truly new vision based on nuanced human understanding, or exercise human wisdom and intuition that comes from lived experience and complex emotional understanding.
And an IT leader's role is more than just code.
Absolutely. It inherently involves leading people, fostering collaboration, creative problem solving on ambiguous challenges, setting strategic direction aligned with human values and culture.
So the core idea is leverage AI.
Leverage AI as an incredibly powerful time-saving tool. Free yourself from mundane tasks. Then, dedicate that reclaimed time to intensely cultivating uniquely human skills, the very ones that make you indispensable. You're offloading low-value processes so your high-value human CPU can focus.
Okay, let's dive into actionable tiny habits for these irreplaceable durable skills. First, emotional intelligence and empathy again. Critical for teams.
Absolutely critical for conflict resolution, building high-trust teams, fostering innovation. A simple yet profoundly impactful habit is, at the start of my first one-on-one meeting of the day, I will ask my colleague a question about their well-being that goes beyond their immediate work tasks.
Like, how was your weekend or something?
Exactly. Or, how are you doing with that tricky project outside of work? This small, consistent gesture demonstrates genuine care for them as a person, not just a resource. It fosters deeper connection, builds psychological safety, cultivates trust. That's the bedrock of high performance.
Next, creativity and innovation, our competitive edge, right? since AI struggles with truly novel concepts.
Right, AI is great at recombination, less so at true origination. To consistently cultivate this, the habit is, when I start a new project or face a complex problem, I will brainstorm 3 unrealistic or impossible solutions on paper before I use any AI tools to generate ideas.
Human first.
Prioritize human ideation. Ensure your brain gets the first crack at it creatively, free from the biases of existing AI suggestions. It's like forcing your system to generate its own unique hash before checking known patterns. Fosters genuine out-of-the-box thinking.
And leadership and strategic thinking, using that AI-free time for the big picture.
Elevating focus from tactical execution. A powerful habit. Once a week, I will block off a 15-minute period on my calendar, explicitly labeling it strategic reflection, to think about the long-term vision for my team and my role.
Protected time.
Dedicated, protected time for high-level strategic thought allows you to proactively shape the future rather than just react, elevates your leadership effectiveness,
Finally, wisdom and intuition leveraging experience beyond data.
which AI can deliver in spades. The habit. Before making a major decision, especially one with significant human impact, I will sit in silence for 5 minutes to listen to my inner compass or gut feeling before I consult data or external resources.
Trusting your gut.
It connects you with your seasoned experience, your accumulated implicit knowledge, allows for a more holistic approach, integrating your deep intuition with logical analysis. It's about leveraging your unique, internal, highly trained neural network.
Okay, let's turn to English fluency as a professional habit, tailored for someone maybe at a B2 level. The guide emphasizes confidence and consistency, not perfection.
Precisely. For B2 learners, the goal isn't flawless, accent-free English. It's about consistently building confidence and practical fluency through dedicated practice. For you listening, navigating complex technical conversations, this is about enabling more fluid interaction.
So how do you achieve that consistently?
The most effective improvement comes from naturally integrating English into daily routines, professional and personal. Transform language learning from a chore into a low-friction habit. It's continuous integration of language into your operating environment.
Consistency trumps perfection again. What are the core concepts?
Regular, structured practice. Consistent exposure to English slightly above your current level naturally expands vocabulary and comprehension. But just as important,
Speaking.
you need to practice speaking, even with mistakes. That's how you build automaticity, reduce hesitation, achieve fluid, real-world communication. It's like unit testing your spoken language.
Okay, actionable habits for fluency. Let's start with input, listening and reading.
Consistent, targeted exposure is key for comprehension. A great habit example for listening. While on my commute to work, I will listen to one short tech podcast in English.
Using dead time.
Exactly. Converts dead time into valuable learning. Resources like Business English Pod are great for tech-specific idioms. And for reading. Read one industry-relevant article in English after my first cup of coffee each morning.
Habit stacking again.
Integrates reading into an existing routine. Steadily builds vocabulary and comprehension without feeling like extra work.
What about output? Speaking. Reducing hesitation.
Shadowing is a powerful technique here. Repeating short audio clips right after a native speaker, matching rhythm, intonation, pronunciation.
How do you make that a habit?
Before a team meeting, I will use a mobile app to shadow 3 to 4 key phrases or anticipated questions I expect to use or hear. Builds confidence, prepares you, reduces cognitive load during the actual conversation.
Any other output habits?
Keep a vocabulary notebook. Commit to using just one new idiom or phrase from it in a conversation each day. Active application makes new language stick, like using a new library function.
And social skills in English. Low pressure practice.
Try this. I will find one interesting post on LinkedIn or Reddit in my field and write a short, kind, and insightful comment in English. Low-stakes way to practice written English, articulate thoughts, engage socially, builds confidence naturally. You're practicing your public interface.
Okay, moving to another critical area. Architecting financial freedom. Small, sustainable income streams. Sounds daunting.
It can feel overwhelming, a chaotic storm of options. But for someone with your system design skills, it's a perfect application of your expertise. Move beyond feeling swamped, build a predictable, scalable system.
What's the mindset of a passive income architect?
Key point, it's about designing a robust, automated system, not chasing a get-rich-quick scheme.
Right.
The goal is significant initial effort to engineer something that then generates income with minimal ongoing maintenance, a true set-it-and-forget-it system, ideally.
What does that involve?
Identifying specific niche demands, leveraging your expertise, creating products or content with a long lifespan, like well-architected software that keeps running.
Okay, actionable habits for digital products accessible for developers.
Think templates, code snippets, best practice guides, simple utility scripts, digital assets you create and sell. The guide suggests a capture habit.
Capture habit.
After I fix a recurring problem for a client or my team, I will immediately document the solution, detailing steps and code, and save it as a potential digital product idea.
Turning daily work into assets.
Exactly. This consistent habit gradually builds a library of valuable, repeatable ideas that can be refined into saleable products. Active asset creation.
What about niche content and personal branding? Building reputation.
Building it atom by atom consistently. A tiny habit could be. When I discover a new AI tool or development in my field, I will write a 1 to 2 sentence point of view about it for my LinkedIn profile or a relevant forum.
Small, consistent posts.
Each small, thoughtful post builds expertise, expands your network, cements your personal brand over time, positions you as a leader, like consistently pushing small, valuable updates to your profile.
Then identifying SaaS, software as a service, opportunities, recurring revenue.
The holy grail for developers, the habit. Once a week, I will use a dedicated portion of my lunch break to monitor developer forums like Reddit, Stack Overflow, for pain points and recurring problems that could be solved with a simple tool.
Problem identification as a routine.
Transforms the daunting task of finding a SaaS idea into a regular, low-friction routine of needs assessment. Steadily feeds your entrepreneurial pipeline with validated ideas. You're running a continuous market research script.
The future citizens guiding my children.
All right, let's talk about perhaps the most profound application of these behavioral systems, guiding your children. The guide emphasizes age-specific habit coaching. Why is that so crucial?
Because effective, empathetic guidance requires fundamentally different approaches for a 7-year-old versus 14-year-old. You wouldn't use the same debugging tools for vastly different operating systems, would you?
Good point. So a 7-year-old.
At 7, children are developing independence but still critically need significant emotional support, clear boundaries, consistent routines for security. Communication habits should be simple, direct, integrated into daily rituals.
And a 14-year-old.
Very
different.
Very different. The approach shifts significantly towards mentoring, fostering self-reliance, creating opportunities for connection that respect their growing need for independence, privacy, autonomy. Focus on keeping communication lines open without being intrusive.
Like moving from direct command and control to collaborative system management.
That's a powerful way to frame it. Exactly.
Okay, let's get into actionable, tiny habits for both ages. Starting with connecting with a 7-year-old. Fostering open communication through rituals.
A simple yet profoundly powerful habit. When my son comes home from school, I will pause what I'm doing and ask him, what was the best thing about your day?
Why that specific question and moment?
It establishes a consistent, safe, predictable moment for conversation. Signals his thoughts are valued, you're genuinely interested, you're present. Creates a reliable daily check-in protocol.
What about play-based habits? Kids learn through play.
Crucial for connection and learning. Try this. After dinner, I will play a 10-minute game of his choice before we do chores together. Shows you value his interests, willing to engage on his terms, enjoys spending dedicated time, reinforces the bond.
And emotional habits, helping them name feelings.
Building emotional literacy. Use noticing statements to validate their internal experiences. For example, when my son seems frustrated, I will say, "You're feeling angry because you want to keep playing, aren't you?"
So you label the emotion for them.
Helps them name and understand it. Validates his feelings, shows he's understood, provides the vocabulary to express himself, builds emotional literacy and self-regulation early. You're helping him label the error codes of his emotions.
Now, engaging the 14-year-old. Different needs, navigating adolescence, casual connecting, respecting autonomy.
Right. It needs to be more teenager-initiated often. The habit is about being consistently available and responsive when they choose to talk.
How?
When my daughter starts a conversation with me, I will immediately put down my phone or pause my task and give her my full attention, even if it's for just a few seconds. Sends a clear message. Her words matter, you value her input, you're present. Fosters trust without demanding it. It's like having an open communication port.
What about planned connecting? Less forced family time.
More low pressure and teen-driven. Once a week, I will offer a coffee shop date and explicitly let her choose the place and the topic of conversation. Respects her independence, provides a neutral environment where she feels in control, more likely to open up. It's a scheduled, low-friction channel.
And using technology, it's their world.
Use it as a bridge, not a barrier. Once a day, I will send her one funny low-pressure meme, TikTok, or text that I genuinely think she'd appreciate. Shows you're thinking of her, understand her world, connects naturally without demanding deep conversation, a consistent, lightweight data packet of affection.
Beyond communication, the guide stresses cultivating emotional and critical intelligence in kids. Essential skills.
Absolutely essential, durable skills for navigating a complex, information-saturated world. These habits foster deep resilience and thoughtful engagement, critical for long-term success.
So EI in children, how is it teachable?
Presented as a skill for understanding, managing, expressing feelings appropriately, leads to better communication, stronger friendships, improved conflict resolution, critical for healthy social development.
And critical thinking, especially now.
Vital in a world saturated with misinformation. Enabling children to question information, seek reliable evidence, form independent judgments. They're essential cognitive debuggers.
Okay, actionable habits. Fostering emotional intelligence.
A key habit is praising effort and internal feelings, not just external outcomes. For example, when my child makes a healthy choice, like an apple over chips or reading versus video game, I will praise their effort and explain how that choice makes them feel stronger or smarter, rather than just commenting on weight or performance.
Focus on internal experience and effort.
Encourages a growth mindset, self-efficacy, self-assurance. Focuses on internal feelings and process, not just external results. Builds intrinsic motivation.
Using conflict as a learning opportunity.
A profound one for empathy. After a conflict with a sibling or friend, I will sit down with my child and ask, how do you think that made the other person feel? And why might they have reacted that way?
Developing perspective taking.
Yes. Encourages understanding of others' feelings and motivations. Teaches them to consider impact. Fosters compassion. Running an empathy simulation.
And the habit of inquiry for critical thinking.
Consistently cultivating those skills. When my child brings me a fact or a sensational claim from the internet or friends, I will pause and ask, what evidence supports that? And can we find a different source to confirm it or understand the context?
Teaching them to question and verify.
Transforms passive information consumption into an active analytical process. Equips them with invaluable discernment skills for the digital age, teaching them to validate data sources.
Finally, the Global Citizen's Blueprint, a modern framework. What does global citizen mean today?
The guide redefines it. It's not just about travel. It includes having a global mindset, understanding diverse cultures, and, crucially, being a respectful, empathetic, digital citizen.
The online world as a global town square.
Exactly. Interactions have real impact. Values like compassion, open-mindedness, responsibility are inseparable from online behavior.
So the parent's role.
To mentor and guide the development of a digital identity reflecting these values goes beyond basic internet safety, shaping a responsible, empathetic, critically aware presence, building a robust, ethical digital persona.
Okay, habits for this. Modeling behavior. They watch us.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Especially online. You're their primary behavioral prototype, the habit. Before I post a comment or share an article online, especially if it's controversial, I will pause and ask myself, how might this make someone else feel? Does it contribute constructively?
Our online conduct is the lesson.
Your civil, courteous, thoughtful responses are a powerful role model. Shows them how to engage respectfully online.
Critical evaluation and digital literacy. Navigating online content.
Essential. When a news story, viral video, or trending topic pops up, I will discuss with my children how to identify source reliability, recognize misinformation tactics, understand the difference between opinion and fact.
Active critical thinking exercise.
Converts passive media consumption into active analysis. Equips them to discern truth online.
And respectful communication online. Tricky without nonverbal cues.
Profoundly crucial. Model using I statements. I feel frustrated when this happens and I want to find a solution instead of blaming, you are making me angry or you always do this.
Constructive expression.
Promotes more civil, less confrontational conversation. Teaches children to express needs constructively without attacking others. Vital skill anywhere, online or off. Foundational for healthy communication protocols.
The integrated system. Your personalized action plan.
We've covered a vast and incredibly rich terrain today, haven't we? Integrating ancient wisdom with cutting-edge modern behavioral science.
Absolutely. A lot to process.
So this final section is where we bring it all together. We're presenting the behavioral systems matrix as a powerful distillation of all the principles and tiny habits we've discussed.
Like a toolkit.
Exactly, your concise, highly actionable toolkit for designing, debugging, and optimizing your own personal and professional behavioral systems.
This matrix sounds really useful. Can we walk through some examples? Show how it works in practice, like mini case studies.
Definitely. Let's illustrate how these different frameworks apply. First, applying Duhigg's loop to personal well-being for improved sleep hygiene.
Okay, desired outcome. Consistent wind-down routine.
Right? A clear system shutdown protocol.
Yeah.
The tiny habit. Turn off all screens, phone on charger, away from bed, turn off tablet TV.
Right.
Reduces blue light, mental stimulation.
And prompts.
A reliable anchor moment when my alarm is set for tomorrow.
And the celebration. The reward.
A simple, silent nod to yourself. An internal acknowledgement. Protocol executed. Signals value to your brain.
Okay. Next, using Fogg's BMAP for professional growth-enhancing EI and decisiveness under pressure.
Desired outcome. Create that pause between emotion and response for calm, thoughtful reactions.
Tiny habit.
Take just one deep breath. Close eyes, slow breath in and out. Creates that critical physiological delay.
Prompt.
An immediate stress trigger. Before replying to a charged or upsetting email.
Celebration.
A silent nod, maybe a small internal smile. Acknowledging successful self-regulation. Reinforces that vital pattern.
Good one. For financial growth, applying Clear's 4 laws to consistent niche content creation.
Desired outcome. Consistently build personal brand, digital presence, leading to opportunities, maybe passive income.
Tiny habit.
Write one short sentence, a 1-2 sentence point of view, or insight about a new AI tool or industry development.
Prompt.
Natural, frequent occurrence. When a new AI tool or relevant news item is discovered,
Celebration. Making it satisfying.
a satisfying check mark in a dedicated digital notebook or spreadsheet provides immediate, tangible satisfaction, visible progress record.
Okay, shifting to children. Using Duhigg's loop for a 7-year-old for open communication.
Desired outcome. Create a consistent daily ritual for sharing, feeling heard. A reliable communication channel.
Tiny habit.
Ask one specific open-ended question. What was the best thing about your day?
Prompt.
Daily predictable moment. When my son comes home from school,
Celebration.
an encouraging smile, direct eye contact, genuine active listening, positive nonverbal feedback, rewarding them for sharing.
For a 14-year-old, applying Fogg's BMAP for sustained low-pressure connection.
Desired outcome. Keep communication open without being intrusive, respecting independence.
Tiny habit.
Send one funny low-pressure text, a relatable joke or meme they'd appreciate.
Prompt.
Natural, personal thought. When I first think of my daughter during the day,
Celebration.
a brief feeling of connection, maybe a mental gotcha if she responds, an internal reward for the effort to bridge the gap.
And finally, applying Clear's 4 laws to guiding children in critical evaluation.
Desired outcome. Turn passive media consumption into an active analytical process. Build internal data validation skills.
Tiny habit.
Ask one clarifying question. What evidence supports that?
Yeah.
Or, can we find a different source?
Prompt.
Frequent real-world trigger. When a news story, viral video, or friend's claim pops up.
Celebration.
An inner feeling of satisfaction. Successfully mentoring your child, imparting a vital, lifelong skill.
This matrix truly encapsulates the power and practicality, universally applicable. Now let's talk about your blueprint for change, getting started immediately, because knowing isn't doing.
Right. The guide makes it abundantly clear. A better, more optimized life begins not with a grand overhaul, but with a single, tiny, immediate action.
So how do we start today?
These principles and habits are designed for minimal effort, maximum impact over time. To start becoming a behavioral architect today, just follow this simple 3-step plan.
Okay, step 1.
The 1-minute audit. Spend just 60 seconds, literally 1 minute, identifying anchor moments in your current schedule. Existing daily routines you do without fail.
Like pouring coffee, brushing teeth.
Turning off your computer, getting in the car, things you do automatically. These are your perfect built-in prompts, your reliable system triggers.
Okay, step 2.
The first tiny habit. Choose just one tiny habit from this deep dive or one inspired by it. Attach it to one of those anchor moments, the absolute key. Make it so incredibly small, it almost feels pointless.
Laughably small. Flossing 1 tooth small.
Exactly. Ensures effort is near zero, bypasses resistance, makes failure almost impossible. The goal is a consistent win, however small.
And step 3. This seems crucial.
The first celebration. Immediately upon completing your tiny habit, celebrate it. A silent yes. A small internal fist pump. A quiet nod.
Why is the celebration so important?
This immediate positive feeling, this internal 200 OK, is the most crucial step. It tells your brain to remember and repeat the behavior. It's the feedback loop that cements the tiny action into a lasting habit. Don't skip the celebration. It's the most powerful reinforcement.
So audit, tiny habit, celebrate. Simple framework to start.
As you reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this. What single, ridiculously small habit could you identify today that, if consistently applied with this new understanding of behavioral systems, might address a long-standing challenge you've almost given up on?
Or how might simply becoming aware of one unreliable motivation in your life and actively designing around it change your entire approach to building success, professionally and personally? The answers might be simpler and more profoundly powerful than you think, especially when you start thinking like an architect.
Thank you for diving deep with us into the science and art of building lasting, resilient habits.
Until next time, keep designing and optimizing those systems.